really excited about this episode because mindset and everything for me is just like way up there with so many different things. So obviously the podcast is about PEMF therapy, but we also get lots of guests on that are specialists in their field. And this is an area that I've been wanting to explore for such a long time. So we normally start these with a quick fire question. So we'll ask you a couple of questions and just shortest answer, and then we will take a deeper dive later on in the episode, if that's okay.
That sounds wonderful.
So can our thoughts negatively impact our health?
100%, because everything you do in life started with a thought, and what you do affects your health.
What's one thought pattern you believe quietly limits most people?
Criticism, judgment, anger, resentment. I know you said one, but all of these interfere with wellness. They all interfere. Anytime you are contemplating negativity, judgment, criticism to yourself or anyone else, especially, you're interfering with your healing process because you're stealing that time and energy from thinking about, hey, what can I do to heal myself? What can I do to improve myself?
Can trauma block physical healing?
Absolutely. If it's unresolved. And trauma becomes long-term trauma if it's not resolved, right? People have things happen to them in life that can be traumatic, but if it's dealt with, and especially if it's dealt with support of someone else, it doesn't have to become lifelong trauma.
Are people unconsciously programming themselves every day?
100%. You know, when you're a child, your programming comes from those that are raising you. But then once you become an adult, you get to choose if you want to keep those programs or if you want to change your program. So we program ourselves just like we program our computers now.
And can you train yourself to become more positive?
100%. You know, it just takes a little bit of desire, a little bit of discipline, not even a ton, but just acknowledging that, okay, wait a minute, I'm having these thoughts and they're negative and they don't make me feel good when I'm having them. Nobody feels happy when they're pissed off. Nobody feels happy when they're judging themselves or mad at themselves for something they didn't do. So you know that, that's easy. So then it's just a decision to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to try, even just with a little discipline, to start changing those thoughts. So absolutely, we can change what we think, what we do, and what we say to become a more positive person with a little bit of intention and discipline.
What's the biggest mindset mistake that people make with healing?
That they think it's only their thoughts. And my main work is focused on thought processes. But it's not just the thoughts, right? You have to support your physical body so that you have the right brain chemistry, so that you're not suffering with terrible digestive issues that would be distracting you from having the mindset that you want to have. So it's never just the thoughts. It has to incorporate the physical wellness. And it really is mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. When you do that, then you really can have the best mindset. But if you neglect the physical body, no matter how much mindset work you do, you're going to be suffering, and suffering in the physical body is also a distraction to a positive mindset.
Why do some people believe that nothing works for me?
Programming. That's programming. Whether you grew up with a family that says everyone has a burden to carry in life, or, nothing is perfect. Everyone has to struggle with something. That's all programming. And so when people start to believe that nothing works for them, they could have had terrible circumstances in their life where there was a lot of trauma or, negative things happening throughout their childhood and life. But at some point, one has to think, wait a minute, things work out for some people. So maybe I can do some work so that things can start working out for me. And everyone can make that shift, and it can start with minor baby steps. It doesn't have to be anything big, but that's usually why. It's programming.
And what's one daily habit that people can do to reset their energy?
100% how you start your day. Just getting up with thinking about something you're grateful for. Even if you can just be grateful for the fact that you woke up today. I mean, that's a tremendous blessing. Not everyone gets that. We think everyone gets it, but not everyone does. So just waking up and saying, I'm grateful to be alive, and also thinking of an intention that you have for your life and an intention that you have to serve humanity, that makes you come in full to your day. And then throughout your day, the way you use that as a reset is that becomes an anchor for you. So throughout the day, when you're feeling drained, when you're, dealing with traffic, when you're dealing with difficult people, you can anchor back to, wait a minute, what am I grateful for? What are my intentions for my life? What are my intentions to serve humanity? And that's an easy, fast, energetic reset that anyone can do at any time, anywhere.
Cool. Okay, so we're moving out the quick fire round now. I've seen you say optimize your thoughts. So can you kind of take a bit of a deeper dive into this and tell me, what do you mean by optimize your thoughts?
Optimizing your thoughts means in our world of health and wellness, we are always optimizing. We're those of us that are really wanting to live our best health span and lifespan. We optimize our mitochondria, our digestive systems, our brain chemistry. We wear blood glucose monitors. We do all kinds of things to optimize the physical body, but sometimes people forget that everything that we think about everything we're doing, going back to the question of why do some people say nothing works for me? What you think about what you're doing is just as important as what you're doing. And so in the healing process, and actually even in the life process of living a life that you absolutely love, the only thing that is with you 24/7 are your thoughts. And so why would we not choose to optimize our thoughts? And the way we optimize our thoughts is simply by paying attention. Attention is the biggest money maker of our time, right? If you can get people's attention, you can make money in life. Well, it's the same thing. If you want a prosperous, healthy body, if you want a happy life with good relationships, you need to pay attention to your thoughts. And every thought is going to either make you take a positive action or a negative action, or not take an action that you want. And it goes deeper with the thought process. Every thought has a chemical reaction, and those chemical reactions help us to feel emotions. Anything that you do started with the thought, the chemical reaction, then you felt the emotion. The emotion is going to say to you, if you thought in the morning, oh, this is going to be a crappy day, you have the chemical reaction, which may be more cortisol, and then you're going to feel like, oh, it's not even worth it. Then you're not going to get up and go on that walk and get your morning sunlight. Then you're not going to go to the gym. Then you're not going to be positive with the people that you interact with. Versus if you optimize your thoughts and say, wait a minute, okay, even noticing, oh, wow, I had a negative thought this morning. I'm not feeling very optimistic. I'm not really excited about this day. What would be the opposite of that? Can I optimize and upgrade that thought, even if I don't believe it right now? But it's going to feel better to say, cancel. No, that's not how I'm going to think today. I'm the captain now. I'm the captain of my ship, which are my thoughts, and I'm going to choose a positive thought, optimize my thoughts, even if I don't believe it right now. But, we are the masters of our thoughts, of our body, of everything that we do. We have so much power to take control of our life, but it does take a little bit of knowledge, looking into like, what are these thoughts that I'm having? Why am I thinking these thoughts? And then saying, it is possible to have a different thought. It is possible to upgrade and update this thought to something positive, and we have to brainwash ourselves in life, right? Yeah, again, going back to the programming, we were programmed. Whatever the program was, that's what it was. But now, as adults, we have a choice. And even younger, sometimes even as a teenager, you can start to choose what types of thoughts you're going to have. I've worked with very young people that are like, oh, my parents are, very negative and pessimistic, and I don't want to be that way. And so they start to optimize their thoughts. And the sooner we start working on optimizing our thoughts, and it's simply, we are all very clear on what's negative and what's positive. Anything that makes you feel bad is negative. Anything that makes you feel good is positive. And if you don't have the memory of a positive thought, you can look into the world and see, what do you think having positive thoughts looks like? What would I feel like, or what would I think like if things were going well? And we start to brainwash ourselves into having these positive thoughts. And even though some people think manifestation and these kinds of things are very woo, they're not woo at all. They're actually very practical, logical, and rational. If one just stops and says, wait a minute, I have this thought and I say this thing or do this thing, it's very clear. Am I going to have a positive thought or negative thought, so that the things that I say and do are also positive, which definitely impact the physical body because you are healthy and fit because you're taking certain actions. And you only took the actions because you had the thought of taking the actions first. Otherwise, you would still be laying in bed.
Exactly. No, and this is why I was excited for this episode because, I think mindset, manifestation, all that sort of thing, it's coming out a lot at the minute. And you mentioned in there, a lot of people see it as very woo-woo, but, I can't stress enough how much my thought process is and everything that goes into it. I'm quite fortunate that I call myself quite a positively outlooking person. I give my wife a bit of a hard time quite often because I was saying to her, she always goes to a negative thing first, where you look at the weather and she'll look at the one thing that's there's a cloud rather than there's the sun sort of thing. So I give her a bit of a hard time about it. But, and I really think that it can impact your day. It can change your day. It can change your life if you're thinking in these different ways. But